I'll ask you the question I've been asking California Republicans and conservatives for a long time. Who are the three Republicans most likely to be the next Republican governor of California?
Well, so this is a very difficult question for me to answer, except in a very coy way. But Mark, I should tell you that I'm seriously considering running,
Yeah.
and haven't. The way I'm putting it right now is Kamala Harris is telling us that she is too, almost using that exact same language, and that she'll make a decision by the end of the summer. I'll make mine much sooner than that. So I don't think I better say anything more than that. Otherwise, it
Yeah.
just gets into a terrible mess. But
So you don't
can I
want to name? Yeah, go
can I
ahead.
address the question of Republicans generally? Because I think that there are some interesting signs that should give optimism for Republicans in California. I'm not talking about the poll that everyone got a bit excited about earlier this week. 48% of people would vote for Republican governor, whatever. If you look at November last year, and not even the share of the vote, the number of votes that Donald Trump got, over 6 million. That number, if you project forward the turnout in a midterm election in California based on the past two midterms, the number of votes that Trump got in California without really campaigning in California is higher than what you would need to win in 2026. Of course, what you need to happen is the presidential level turnout, and that's not easy. But my point is that there are enough Republican voters in California to elect a Republican governor. It's not just as people say, well, how are you going to persuade Democrats and independents? Of course, you should try and do that and have a broad-based mandate. But there are actually enough Republicans in California right now to elect a Republican governor. And then, of course, you look at all the other indicators, the fact that 10 counties flipped from blue to red, including big ones like Fresno, the fifth biggest city in California. Or look at Huntington Beach. I think that's very interesting. I know it's a medium-sized city, but an important one, significant culturally and so on. Surf City, USA. 4 or so years ago, the council was 6-1 Democrat, Republican. And then a friend of mine, Tony Strickland, who I've gotten to know very well, he put together a slate of candidates, worked as a team in 2022. They took control 4-3. And it was a very, strong conservative message. It wasn't some kind of watered down Democrat light. It was the opposite. It was very MAGA. And then they won 4-3 in 2022. And then they went about implementing a very conservative agenda on homelessness and crime. And they introduced a ballot initiative for voter ID, all this stuff. Just now, they took complete control. They actually called themselves the Magnificent Seven. And they won the council 7-0. So you've gone from 6-1 Democrat to 7-0 Republican in 4 years. So I think that there's something going on. I'm not saying it's easy. Of course it's not. It's going to be very difficult. But I think that California is very much in play in 2026, certainly at the statewide level, of course, because the legislature is so skewed. You've got a supermajority there. That's going to be very difficult to
Yeah.
make much headway there in one election. But of course, if you address the gerrymandering, then immediately you increase Republican representation. Plus, by the way, very important national point here, if you address the gerrymandering in California, you probably get another 10 House seats for Republicans out of California, because the misrepresentation is just as severe for the congressional districts.